Hello, Selma.
Hi,
How
Tony.
how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm excited to have you today.
I'm excited to be here.
I really have been wanting to delve into this issue of AI, artificial intelligence and art and how it affects, real artists as yourself, such as yourself.
Mm.
So I met Selma. I actually met her by commissioning her to help me with the cover art for my new book coming out, hopefully in a month or so. And but Selma, can you give a little bit more of a background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm an artist. I draw in ink, and I have a little cat who's about to sit in my lap. His name's Bella. Oh, there she goes. And yeah, I'm originally from Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm currently living in the UK. Um, And yeah, I go by the Salsa Creative Studio, which is maybe unusual for an artist to not go by their first name, but I started off as a graphic designer. So I kind of built everything around a brand persona that kind of covers everything. And I've just kind of kept it as I've gone into the art world and pursued my art career.
Did you know a good friend of mine who sometimes co-hosts the show with me, Alexei Novitsky, was born in South Africa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's funny. I didn't know that. I thought you were born in the UK, so I learned something new
Oh, yeah.
about you. So you have a website, and do you have art for sale on the website, or do you it's just work like you've done for me? In other words, do you have prints people can buy?
Yeah, I've got a shop on my website where I've got prints and I post my original artwork there. It's the only place you can get my originals at the moment. I don't have very many available um, at the moment, but they will be available soon.
You have a really nice looking website here. I love the
Thank
colors,
thank
and
you.
just that screenshot is really awesome. And your trees, as a matter of fact, when I was doing a Google search, for artisan old trees, somehow I can't remember exactly how I found you, but that's how I found you. And I'm
Oh,
so happy I did because as people will see in a minute, the AI art is a little bit lacking in personality. But um,
yeah,
yeah,
as it would.
it's kind of funny. My first impression of AI and its effect on the art world was that basically artists would become sort of like file managers, or
Mm,
or just like you're maintaining the robot. You know, I guess we'll
mm,
always need someone to oil the machine, and you know, and but I remember you said something one time when we were meeting about my book. We briefly talked about this, and you seem to have a better outlook than I
yeah.
do.
Yeah, so I'm generally an optimistic person and often tend to look at the bright side of things. And I find that when change happens, people often resort to kind of being scared about, what if the worst case scenario happens, which I also tend to do. But in these kinds of situations, I kind of project to think about not just what will happen if AI just takes over all of the art, but what that means for art in general. And what is art? Because if it's just creating visuals, I don't, to me, that's not art. That's just, I don't know, visualization or generating visuals. It's not the same as art. Art's a very loaded word, right? Like it covers so much. It's such a broad subject um, in terms of styles of art and what art means to people and what art is. So I think AI art will have its own section, of what it develops. And what I think about that is that it opens a door to something that we can't create. It's something that only will happen with AI generating new ideas, maybe not new ideas, but well, it has to be new ideas, right? There's got to be something that comes from it that we wouldn't have gotten to otherwise. And that's great because when new things are created, it leaves channels open for more new things to be created and discovered, and things evolve and develop, and that's kind of how existence works, with everything kind of developing and creating more, and um, developing into all the variations of what existence can be.
The-
So,
one of the issues I think will come up, if it hasn't already, probably has, is this idea of transformative work. So let's say I can go into DAL-E, or DAL-E, however they pronounce it, and I can take your tree and I can erase part of it, right? And I can
mm,
tell AI to finish out that tree, right?
mm,
As a matter of fact, the background, I was talking to you earlier. Let me bring that up if you don't mind. I'll bring up
mm,
this. I'll while you're talking just for a second. I'm gonna I'm gonna bring up a few photographs to give an example.
yeah, sure.
Um, Share. Let's see. I was here. I was here. I thought I had this ready. I'm a bad show host, aren't I? So here we go. Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. Let's say this tree. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say, and this is the original tree in the middle that I started off with. Okay.
Mm,
Now I was able to in DALL-E, it will give you an original, like an original. I think it's 1200 by 1200, square basically of the original, creation, right? But you can go in and tell it to expand that or generate other frames
mm,
around it, right?
mm,
So what if this was your tree and I told it to generate, more stuff around yours, and then eventually, as soon as I got enough around that tree, I could basically erase your tree and
mm.
then have it regenerate, and it would be totally a new. You see what I mean? It's sort of
Yeah.
it's taking your work and
Mm,
creating, because you see, artificial intelligence is not really, people have this impression that it's sentient or that it understands art,
mm,
but it's actually taking the art that has already been. In other words, DAL-E obviously is the art generating side of OpenAI, right? The
mhm.
artificial intelligence that it has created. But it was fed pen and ink because I told it to create a pen and ink drawing
Mm.
similar to what you do, right? Because I was curious to see what artificial intelligence could do to see if it could match your art. And of course, I don't think it can because of the personality issue, but the character issue.
But yeah.
But it, so that artificial intelligence was trained using other people's work. So
Yeah.
it's transforming work. And what worries me, when I say it worries me, I don't lose sleep over it. I just think that because there's a difference between you and me, right? You're you make your living by creating art. It's just a hobby for me, right?
Mm.
I can still go out and build houses and make money, but if art is your living, how do you think that's going to affect if I'm just taking your work and transforming it to create something that I want, and then I don't have to deal with royalties or copyright issues or.
Well, I think just like all art, artists have the ability to reproduce, right? So any artist could take my work and reproduce the style in their own way. But there's a reason that art is still existing today after Photoshop and cameras and everything. Even if AI can replicate and duplicate and create something generated based off of an existing idea, it can't create the existing idea. And what's special about art is that, for artists, is that you explore ideas, you think about things. Your work isn't just well, some artists, they are people who reproduce and replicate things that they see. Maybe they just paint a landscape exactly the way they look at it. But even since the camera was developed, um, art has, and painting, like then people thought painting would be obsolete because now you can just get a photo taken, no one needs to paint your portrait. But it evolved after that into something new. And now that AI has come along, it will evolve into something new again. And I think the great thing about AI is that it's going to allow people who maybe don't have the technical ability to produce visuals to now be able to go in and say what they have in their mind, but they don't have the technical ability to produce, and they'll be able to get their ideas out, which may be really valuable, will be very valuable ideas that they couldn't have done without AI. And just because an artist, it's like a trade of any kind, right? So it's a learnable skill to be able to draw or paint um, really well. But then there's a market for really naive painting or painting that has a certain quirk or drawings or art that's unusual. And there's always going to be a market for art because art isn't just creating a thing, it's the process of creating it, it's what goes into it, it's part of the soul of the person that gets connected to it, and that's what connects with other people. AI is not going to connect with other people unless it learns connection in itself, which I don't know if it's possible.
The
But
thing is,
yeah.
you mentioned that they could take your work now and create another work from it, right?
Mm,
But that would if they were having to do that by hand, it would cause them to have to perform work to do it,
mm,
right? I can
yeah.
just take your tree and upload the image. I don't have to
Mm,
do any work for, you know what I mean? It's kind of, for me, it kind
yeah.
of gets into the issue of all I would have to do is change a few branches or something. I guess I could do that now, but
Yeah,
by
you could.
hand. But I think what it's going to, for me, it comes down to like the amount of production. It seems like the market will become flooded with. I mean,
Yeah, so this is where I'm at the moment, is that I went through the digital journey, and I found myself coming back to traditional media because I wanted something tactile, something real, something that exists, something that I made that I couldn't undo and recreate and just easily and cheaply just make it on Photoshop or wherever people produce things on. Not that that is any less than, but for me, I was missing a real connection with a real thing. And I think that still has value because AI can't sit and painstakingly draw something with technique and time. I think people find value in the fact that people spend time and that a human made it, and that it's a capability that someone has to be able to create work
but
on
look
a
at
tactile surface.
look at these examples I've got here. This is Mid Journey, I think. Yeah, Mid Journey on Discord. So I
Mm,
just gave it the prompt wooden robot carpenter. That's all I said, and it produced. I mean, it's just pretty cool stuff, right?
yeah.
And here I was trying to get it to create. I said, measuring tape, hammer, paintbrush or whatever. Um, I guess, and here I was delving into modern architecture with these.
Mm,
Um, and then again, I was trying to. One thing I couldn't get it to do was to create like a logo because it is it is kind of. I think they've got it set so that it won't. You know, there are some copyright issues. It seems like that are built into it where they won't reproduce. Other logos or
mhm,
do transformative work. And I guess that's one of my points is that I think people like Apple and IBM will be protected because, right, they're they're those logos will be, the machine will be trained not to reproduce those,
mm.
but some less fortunate. Here I was trying to do some some tile work. So here's some more. This was probably the best tree that it came. Can you believe
Oh,
that?
cool.
That's photo.
That's very
That's,
cool.
so this prompt is you have to get photorealistic. You can just put that at the end of the prompt,
Mm.
and it'll create photorealistic. So
That is very cool, actually.
these are all the there's I went through, and I guess the only saving grace is that I probably went through 1,000 trees before I came up with one that I was. But you can see here the way the computer translates, or you know, it's just basic shapes and there's no real detail. I imagine if I had
Mm.
put the prompt photorealistic, maybe it would have done better like the other one. But I was trying to get a pen and ink tree.
Yeah.
But here's where I took and said the prompt was hammer with vines around it because I wanted to create some images for the inside of the book.
Mm.
While I've got this up, what did I do with your? Let me show them the tree that you drew for me, which is awesome. Where is it? Right here. Oh, good Lord. Oh, okay, open with photos. Here we go. Now, I think this is an awesome tree. And you can see that if you look at the detail, you can see that even though it's pen and ink, there's still a lot of minute detail in there, drawn by a human hand. So I don't know. I just have mixed thoughts about this whole thing, and I was kind of hoping that you would. I mean, I kind of get. Let me get rid of this. I kind of get I get the positivity, but I think we need to. This is kind of like, I'm going to call this something like the Napster effect. You know,
Yeah.
I think that some way in some way artists are going to have to be protected to a certain extent. You
I
know,
don't think so. I think we need to adapt and evolve with the times. I think that holding on to the past is never useful. If things change, you need to flow with it wherever it goes. And if we become obsolete, and then so be it. Find something else to do. Don't just hold on to what you wish could have happened, because then you get stuck, you know? So I think, even that being said, I think that what we're going to discover now is the value of an artist, really, because like you were saying, you're going through 1,000 photos and iterations of like this tree that you want but not really getting it. And it's part of the creative process to go through ideas and find different things. And now that people might have the technical ability with AI, it gives it's a tool that people can use to find what they want, but the value in design and art is the ideas and the vision that you have, and executing that in the way that you see it. And AI can't read your mind yet. So people are going to find that finding the thing that they really want and getting getting it to be just right. There is definitely there's a distance between what AI is capable of now and what artists are capable of. Maybe in the future, when there's neural links and things in your brain and you can just project art exactly how you see it, or it can read your mind to do it exactly how you want to do it, then it'll change again. But at the moment, I'm not concerned about AI taking my job because I think it's just a tool at the moment until it develops sentience. All it can do is replicate what it already knows and what it can learn or visually. And me as a person, as an artist, if it copies my work, uh, it's, I mean, a person can do that. I can copy many things. I'm very good at Photoshop. I could have done this before AI came along, but I don't because, well, I don't want to, but other people can do it as well. And there's a reason that those people don't become successful. Those people don't become more than just people who copy because they don't create the initial vision, the initial idea or thought, because it comes from a place that's deeper than just, oh, I'm going to make a really cool picture. There's a lot more to it. And so I'm not worried about AI affecting art negatively. I am concerned about maybe other things, but for the most part, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a really wonderful tool, and something that can really catapult new things into existence, which is great.
What's interesting is I actually asked uh, uh, Chat GPT. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Where did I put that? Dial E. Let's see. Am I still screen sharing?
Yeah,
And here it is. Can you see that? Okay.
I have to like put my face really close to the screen.
Let's see if I can make it bigger. Here we go.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah, that's
How
great.
about how
Thanks.
about that?
Hmm.
So I asked Chat GPT what will affect of, I guess I could have written a complete sentence of AI be on the art industry. And it starts out sort of on a positive note, like you have talking about how it can assist artists in generating new creative ideas and visualizing and designing artwork. And it talks about increased efficiency, and then it goes into changes in the art marketing dynamics, art market dynamics, and ethics ethical concerns. There are also ethical concerns around the use of AI in the art industry,
Mm.
particularly around issues of authorship and ownership. For example, who owns the rights to an AI generated artwork? And
Mm.
and to me, and of course at the bottom it always gives its little disclaimer overall, the full impact of AI on the art industry. While the full impact of AI on the art industry is still uncertain, it is unlikely to lead to some significant changes. I'm having a hard time seeing this, so I can't get it big enough to read it. So, but anyway, I think the point there is that I guess it didn't come up with any kind of earth shattering response,
Well,
but
I think there is, in terms of artists in other disciplines, like digital artists, they definitely have um, some concerns, because for me, I'm going to tactile, so my physical work will still have value, and the prints I reproduce, because of the high quality of them, it's difficult to reproduce them elsewhere. And but with digital artists, because the creations were created digitally using pixels, it's much easier to replicate their work, and they don't have a physical original thing besides NFTs. That was a great way of creating a original piece out of a digital artwork. Um, so that's probably the way for them to go. But in terms of replication, it's much easier to replicate the digital art. And also, what I'm imagining for the future is when they get into automating CGI kind of effects, where AI can just create whole movies. If you talk to this AI and you say, I want to recreate Notting Hill, and I want me to be Julia Roberts, and I want my husband or boyfriend or crush to be, who was it, Hugh Grant, and then to make the whole movie again, but with us in it, or to recreate, or to just make it a film. Like, if it can do photos now and images now, it can do video eventually, and it can create movies eventually, and you can create a whole like content to watch. You can just generate it by asking for it. I mean, obviously, very far down the line, it's just the potential of what could happen. So, and then what happens then?
well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited about the advent of AI. Okay, because I already see the advantages, like to the construction industry, right? The design.
Oh.
I'm a design build contractor. And someday I'll be able to whip out specs and drawings, and just by giving the AI a few parameters. I want a 3 bedroom house with 2 baths. I want it to be a modern style, Frank Lloyd Wright style house. all this, and
Wow.
bam, construction documents.
Mm.
So, um, but that's going to eliminate some jobs. You know,
Yeah.
as a developer, as the
Mhm.
developer I build for right now pays me to do design work. I design the buildings that we build for him.
Mm.
So I don't make that much money from it, but I will lose if that becomes at that point I will be getting paid a smaller fee to produce artificial intelligence created design. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 years. I'm talking maybe 10 years from now. I see this
Mm.
happening. So it
Yeah.
will it will tend to I think it will tend to I guess it'll shape the job market will be shaped in a different way, or it will shape it in a different way, right?
Yeah.
People would become managers of information and not
Mm.
creators of art or information. But
Yeah.
I thought, what I thought would be kind of fun is, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
is I'm gonna take, just to give you an example, I'm gonna try to shock you into being on my side.
Okay. I'm ready.
Let's see. I'm gonna add the stream. I'm gonna go to DALL-E. Okay, so this is DALL-E. This is where I've created some of my
I haven't
stuff.
actually used this before, so I'm excited to see.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna upload an image, and I'm gonna do it to you right now. Okay, this is what you get for being in favor
Oh no.
of AI. I'm gonna use the low quality image. Okay. So
All
first I
right.
have to crop it. I'm gonna leave it like that. I was just gonna demonstrate what I was talking about. Uh, okay. Skip cropping. Okay. So what you can do
Yeah.
is, let's say I don't want this. I want to take your work and transform it, right? So what I would do is I take the eraser, right, and I can't. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't erase that, and I would erase all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I didn't. It's a pretty big drawing, so I have to do a lot of erasing here and see how fast I
Yeah.
can do this. Wow! And what it's going to do is it's going to generate a new, that part of the where's the oh, it's okay. It's lagging a little bit. I get it. I got to slow down a little bit. It might be that it's because I'm trying to live stream it too. So now I'm going to create. I'm going to say generate. Uh, oh, what would you? How would you prompt this? I have to put a prompt in.
Oh, I don't know. What did the prompts normally say in
It would
English?
be. I know I was
Yeah.
using like old tree. Um, with few leaves or something like that. I think I have to put some kind of prompt in.
All right.
Uh,
Okay.
so let's see.
Normally you might not get such a high resolution image. Like if someone wanted to,
What's that?
I'd say online, normally the image resolution isn't as high as this one.
That's true, and I'm realizing now that, see, that box there
Hmm.
is the only part it's going to generate. So let me go back
Yeah. I
and
was wondering about this, about the image resolution and how big, just how big you can print these things.
let's see. Okay. Oh, darn it! Darn it! Darn it! Darn it! Well, this is the joy of live TV, or live skip cropping. I'm just going to do a little section just to demonstrate.
Okay.
I'm going to do this. Can I not click generate? Okay. Old tree.
Mhm.
generate. We'll see what happens here. What it should do is take, I hope it's not going to do it up here. If that means the image I uploaded is probably too big.
Yeah, you can maybe take a screenshot of it and then do it again. It'll be quicker.
Okay, so I have to put this, let's put this right here. We'll just give it a simple task. Well, let's do it right here. Okay, now we'll do generate. What it's supposed to do is take all of the information around it and generate this area that's been erased.
All right.
And normally, like I say, it's only creating this box as far as the resolution in the first place. So this is quite a challenge for it.
Yeah, what I do like about AI is that,
There you
oh,
go.
hello.
Now
What?
you got choices. See,
Oh, wow.
and you can kind of pick. Now you
Ah,
say accept. Now you move the box to here. I just wasn't used to it
oh, cool.
and generate. You see, and you can just
Yeah,
keep going. You can just keep going and going.
that's pretty cool.
And so eventually, I could replace your entire tree using your work. I could create new work. And I know that sounds like,
Hmm.
well, sure, but I don't know if people have quite worked their worked through that in their minds yet.
Yeah, well, I
What
can
the
see how it would be an issue for some people, but also I think in terms of composition and how it all comes together as well, it will still be different. It won't be perhaps what
no,
I would have done.
no, it will be different, but it's sort of like when Gen Zers take other people's music and add a beat to it or transform it a little bit. It's really not their original work. They're just transforming the original work. Does that make sense?
Mm,
It's not their original idea necessarily.
yeah, but I mean that's also been done throughout as long as music has been around. It's just kind of the way the world works, isn't it? The way the things evolve, you kind of take what's existing and you build on it, add something new, change it a little bit. Over time,
I
it becomes completely different.
but I think but see my point is it boils down. Oh, here we go. So see, it's
It's added
connecting.
a background. Look at that.
Yeah, it's completing. Yeah, that's the cool part about it is
Yeah, it's even adding tiny
if
trees
I
in the
accept
background.
that, see I can keep
That's
going.
cool.
Now I can move this little square over here. It probably won't take as long to generate that one. I'll just do a little bit more because I know it takes a little time to do it. But
Mm.
I guess to me it boils down to uh, oh, now we're getting to some freaky
What
stuff.
is that?
Let's leave that on there.
Yeah.
Except this is the dark side. The
Wow.
dark side of
Isn't it?
AI. let's see. Let's see what
That's
it
really
does
cool.
if I continue it
This
down
is
here.
like, have you ever played Glorious Corpse? No, Exquisite Corpse.
No.
It's a game where you fold a piece of paper and then in a group of people, one person draws the head and you leave like two little lines for when the next person starts, and then the next person continues the drawing without knowing what's there, and so it goes, and then like three people make a whole new body, and it's kind of like what's happening now.
This is it's
This is really
bizarre.
cool.
It's bizarre though because it's taking a dark spin. It's like what if I can connect these now? I mean, it is awesome, but see,
It's awesome.
all I'm doing, I'm not really creating art. I'm just making choices. I guess
Well,
that's
that's
my,
yeah, that kind of
you
is
know.
what art is. Also, you just make choices. This is just assisted in a big way.
But Selma, I don't have to go to the art store and buy pens and paper and
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, that sucks. But
Oh, what did I do? Oh shoot,
uh,
I I like. What happened? Um,
Yeah, I do understand. Like, it takes away all of it. There is so much hard work and labor involved in learning the skill, developing your craft, but having to, it's expensive to have to buy all these materials. You got to make mistakes. You got to start over. It's a real
I
endeavor.
mean, I
But
mean, what if you had, what if, I mean, there are art schools, right? People go, they pay good money to become
mm,
they invest, in their industry, to become, you know what I mean? There's a lot involved. It seems like to me.
yeah,
And
there
here,
is.
all I'm doing is like saying, "Well, that's cool." I'm clicking accept. You know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there's that side of it, but if you kind of zoom out, when you dedicate yourself to a craft, which I'm sure that you are familiar with, you kind of you develop your skills and you develop, um, yeah, your skills and your craft, but you also develop yourself and you develop your mind while you're working. And the relationship between the physical act of continuing to repeat and do and work and learn and fail and start over and do something new, that all develops your mind and develops your character. And even if you're talented in the beginning and you can make things technically really well, your concepts and your ideas aren't necessarily very deep. They're not going to change the world. But if you do dedicate yourself and you work really hard and you develop your mind, then something changes there. It's not just making a choice and putting little things together, whatever suits your needs, like the AI does.
But see,
You know?
you're describing things that people who have scruples do. That right?
Yeah.
I like it's like me. I preach the artisan philosophy, right?
Mm,
I want people to get into the construction industry when they're young. I want them to devote their entire life to it. I want them to learn and go be educated. I want them like I went to a building trade school when I was in high school.
mm,
When I got out of high school, I went through an apprenticeship program. I started my own business, framing houses, and I worked my way up. You see, that's what you do when you're committed to an industry, right? And then when you get old like me, you start to mentor younger people and help them along the way, right? People who are
mm.
going to be making money off of AI art aren't going to give a darn about that. They're
Mm.
going to have an AI shop somewhere set up where they're just reproducing prints, and selling them for 99 cents a piece.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Well,
that's
I see a very different thing because people mm, have an idea of people connect with things because they value something and that they see the value of something. And just because something looks good doesn't necessarily mean it carries any value to anyone specifically. But if someone can connect with something, if they really find value in it, it can be anything. Um, then there's value there. But if something is overproduced, mass produced, and it's just everywhere, and you're going to pay 99 cents for the thing, there will be people who buy it. There will be people who make money off of it, but it won't consume the market because people want something more than a cheap mass produced thing. Not everybody just wants it to have it. A lot of people want things because there's meaning behind it, because it connects with them somehow. They value the craft that went into it. There's story there. There's more than just the thing, a thing. Yeah.
it's like when when me and my son started to get into NFTs several years ago, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, these NFTs are going to become like blades of grass, right? They're going to be so ubiquitous that they won't have any value. Just go out and pick some grass, you know, and that's honestly that one folder of that I showed you. Those
Mhm.
are all the NFTs I created,
Oh, wow.
and I sold some of them, but not for very much. But then I
Mhm.
realized the value is not in how they were created. It was in who created them.
And
And
why?
and and that's the saving grace I get, I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, I guess in the end, it will come down to you know you selling a blade of grass is going to be easier than me selling a blade of grass because you're an artist
Well,
and I'm a contractor.
it's also kind of like maybe everyone's selling seeds. We all have the seeds, but who's going to take the time to tend them, to water them, to make sure that they've got the right place, the right soil, and nurture them to become something really beautiful, or who's just going to chuck it on the lawn and water it and see what sprouts, what they can, do something with.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want you to think I'm not an optimist because basically I'm an optimist. I'm trying to take the sort of devil's advocate side of
Oh,
this
yeah,
a little bit because I am a capitalist and I can see how some people will just I guess, take advantage of the
yeah. Oh,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it's necessary to play devil's advocate, because you've got to see it from all angles. You can't just everything's going to be great and let's just carry on the way we always did. And you've got to really be skeptical sometimes in order to see the true picture.
well, and what I would hate to do, see, and this brings me to wanting to show your video. It what I would hate to see is people like you get overshadowed by because I mean you can create photorealistic art, right? I could have put all I had to do is put the prompt photorealistic behind that old tree, and you saw that first tree I showed you, the bonsai tree.
Mm,
It would have created that instead of a pen and ink,
yeah.
So, I mean, uh, I could have taken your tree and created a photorealistic tree out of it. If I wanted to sit and uh, reproduce all those frames over and over again. You know,
Mm.
the funny thing about that is that does cost. It just occurred to me that's not totally free. It costs me, I don't know, like $1 and something every time I create one of those little generate one of those little frames. I forgot exactly what it is. So at least
Mm.
that person will have to invest. It's not
There will
like
be time. It's not just like it's gonna just shoot out money at you all the time. Like, oh, here's a great artwork every time. It's definitely not going to be the case.
that's true. That's true.
Mm.
Well, let me show this. Let me show the video that you made of you present of you creating my tree. And I think I have this set up. Here we go. And I don't have the audio on because the copyright issue. I hope that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We can
Uh,
talk over it.
well, that's what I was hoping you would do is kind of talk through the process a little bit while it was
Okay.
playing.
All
Where's the
right. Yeah.
play?
Yeah. So I use a dipping pen, a dip pen to dip it into the ink. Um, and this nib is really nice. It gets really fine detail. You can see the size of the nib compared to the leaves. Um, and it was such a joy drawing all these leaves. Oh my word. I just kind of I get back into the same mind space watching the videos as I do when I draw them, so it's hard to speak really well because I get really quiet when I draw. So this is different.
You got triggered to be quiet.
Yeah, I'm just like gonna be like sink down
Uh,
into like my relaxed state. Um,
what we need to do is show them one of the trees that you do where you have like a million leaves because I specifically asked to not have a million, right? Because I wanted to
yeah.
see. I'm really the woodsman guy. I want to see the limbs, and the branches.
Mm.
And I thought that was awesome how you held back on the way you normally do it, and but I just thought it was a really nice effect
Thanks.
that you
Yeah,
came out with.
I was surprised by the way it turned out because it became very kind of decorative with the pattern of the leaves and where they are. It's obviously not a realistic tree. A tree wouldn't look like that in real life, right? It's kind of a mixture between a real tree and a warping of um, the mind a little bit and to make it a decorative visual. It still looks like a tree, but if you were to put that in 3D, none of the leaves overlap, which is impossible in real life. So it becomes a interesting kind of pattern, and yeah, and it was influenced a bit by the AI art because remember the initial sketches, I didn't have quite as many. The branches weren't as big and high up. The base was a bit thicker and stuff. So in that way, AI influenced this in a good way.
Well,
Maybe different than what it
that
started out to be.
that's actually a good point. I wasn't really
Mhm.
gonna see. I had this instinct that I was even trying to protect your work against this, right? Because when I was I had a hard time describing what I wanted. So, is this the one I sent you?
Yeah, this is the one.
Yeah, but obviously, if you compare this to the one that you created, you can see that it's just like scraggly lines for the leaves, and it's just very rudimentary. But it's sort of I guess, more of a abstract or something. But
Mm.
I guess wanted it, but it did get across to you what I was trying to describe. I guess. Um,
Yeah, it was very helpful. It was very helpful in that way. And I think that's one of the benefits of the AIs. It will help because being a designer as well, I would always have to try and kind of guess what clients are visualizing because they can't really do it themselves. So they kind of give a vague description and then I throw something together and then they can say from there, oh, okay, so now that they've seen it, they can say, oh, I want this thing and that thing change, or I actually wanted to go in a different direction, or maybe I wanted, so then it helps them to process what it is in their mind that they're trying to grasp, but they can't quite get to without actually seeing a visual interpretation of it or an example of it. And whereas AI might not hit the nail on the head for what someone wants, it can get you really close to being able to translate what's in your mind to something that's visual. Um, and so it makes it a really good tool for that.
hmm. Well, I love the tree that you came up with, and it's gonna look great on my book. I've kind of mentioned my book a few times, but most people don't really know about it. I was kind of holding off on it
Yeah.
until all of the artwork was done, and
Mm.
so I'm excited about getting the cover and all that done. I have one or two more chapters to finish, but
Oh, yeah.
now I'm inspired. Now
Oh, great.
I got I got to get it finished now because I got the cover art ready.
Awesome.
What do you think about that frame? I was thinking about having. I don't know if you remember on my. We'll just talk shop here for a second.
Mhm.
Oh, that's the wrong. Oh, here it is. You see how I have this border off the that border around. This is the
Yeah.
log book that I do, and I was thinking about doing something similar to that, but um, to frame it. And don't
Mm.
ask me why. I just felt like I guess it's going to be okay. I just need to get over the idea of having to have a frame. Uh, one thing it did was it helped me to keep all the text inside because I used that as
Mm.
the bleeding border. Like I knew I couldn't go outside that border.
Yeah.
So, but see the back. Obviously, I didn't worry about. This is a photograph I took of a house I built. So I just let it run over the bleed or whatever.
Mm.
Maybe I won't worry about it. But I don't know what you think about that as far as the. Uh, I know I'm asking you for advice while we're having an interview,
That's all right.
but
Yeah, I think it's always good to play around with it. And once you have your text down and you can see what it looks like with the tree, then you'll have a better idea of, what does it need more and what is it that it needs. And then you can explore trying different things out and seeing what feels right to you.
well, let me see. Does anybody in the audience have? We had this one comment. AI will own the digital world. Sticking to physical media will insulate you from the robots for a longer, for a while longer. Okay. And we had Richard. Richard Monder is a friend of mine. He's from the UK. He lives,
All right,
yeah.
hi.
Um,
Hi, Richard.
well, I do appreciate your positive outlook. I don't think a lot of artists are going to take it. I imagine it's going to take a little sinking in, right? I mean,
Mm.
the more AI develops, and the more it becomes harder to distinguish between human created art and AI art. I think that's when it'll start to set in a little bit.
Yeah, what I think is that you can't change what's happening, right? So you can't change the fact that AI is coming to take over whatever it takes over, whatever it does. The fact is that that is a reality, and fighting against it is only going to waste your time, right? So,
No,
like for
but
artists,
I'm
I
sorry.
would,
Go ahead.
I would just advise to not get stuck on the fact that it's going to take certain things away, and rather look at, instead of looking at it like, oh, this is going to be taken away from me, rather look at it, okay, this is maybe not the option, the route that I want to go anymore, because it's not going to be work out the best way. So let me explore other ways of doing what I do. And there's bound to be options.
Well, no, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I'm all for technology. I use I use the most advanced technology I can in my business, and I mean the 3D printing and all this other stuff. So it's not that I'm just some old codger who doesn't. The thing is, we can use technology to help protect the work of artists. Though what I'm proposing is that
Oh, yeah.
what I'm saying is I would propose to have a big quantum Google database where you can upload your art, right? It gets scanned, and then before this, you know, before I pay $1.50 to get a big print of your work, that it scans your. It's already learned what your tree looks
Mm.
like, and that it says, you know, here's a tree by Salma Price-Nell. If you want this tree, you need to pay her, a few dollars or whatever.
Yeah,
Or,
well,
or I will create one similar to it, but I'm not going to reproduce her tree.
yeah, like what we were talking about outside of this conversation was copywriting on music. And you get certain IDs and things that are now embedded in the music, and Google can find it. So why can't it be the
Right.
same for art and artists? So the point that you were making that I was missing was protecting the copyright of artists to not get copied, to get their work copied by people with AI just because they can. And that is a thing. I mean, copyright law, you can, if something looks really similar to your work and there is a base for arguing that, you can go after someone for that, right?
But you
But having it
can,
in the code, in the program, would be
but
the best way, right?
The current AIs are so young, they haven't been trained to. There's, I don't think there's a big database in the
Mm.
sky somewhere that has all the art. And it would be, to me, it would be up to the artist if they want their work protected. They would have to go through the exercise of uploading it to this big data
Mm.
quantum computerized database in the sky, in the cloud, where it would be a two-sided coin. The artists have a responsibility to upload their work, and then the people who develop artificial intelligence would be required to link to that and to use that to help train their machines in their machine learning, because
Yeah,
that's really all you're doing with artificial intelligence. I helped.
that's true.
I think I helped the Galileo project identify like 3,000 objects when they were training their AI to recognize aircraft, and so I'm familiar with the process, and
Mm.
it can be done, right? Uh,
Mm.
so
It's very tricky though, because there are things that can be very similar, and if it keeps flagging things up, and then it will kind of make it impossible to create anything, because anything that AI creates was based off something that someone else's content that they own, right? That's
well,
online.
but if you can do it with music, you can do it with light. I mean, you can, right? If you can do it with sound, waves, you can do it with light, right? So
Mm.
if I scan this background image,
Mm. Mm.
excuse me, and it's in there, then that, you know, when the way the computer reads that image is it's just directions for what to place at each pixel, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, what is
there's a number, there's a big long string of numbers that's
mm.
associated with this photograph, right? And all it has to do is compare those strings.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that's
uh,
true. Yeah, so it's definitely possible, right? I
yeah,
mean, there are little glitches, like for example, if an artist painted a landscape that was a photograph, but the photograph was also someone else's artwork. Maybe they had a thing together or something, and then or maybe it's of a place, and maybe the AI confuses the pixels because someone else
well,
took a photo of it, and
no,
then
it would never confuse the if I painted a if I painted a painting of a photograph, I can't reproduce the photograph. I can't reproduce the pixels. I can
exactly,
and
yeah,
the oil
you're
paint,
right.
then that would have to be scanned, right? So
Yeah,
pixels are going to be different. But
yeah. So it's definitely possible.
so there's this technology, and when I guess what I was going back to earlier was the nefarious nature. You know, people who
Mm.
will want to use the AI for their own profit
Mm.
will want you know want that type of thing to be in is part of the process. You see,
Yeah,
and so anyway, I'm sure it'll work itself out, like you know
yeah.
Napster and
There's got to be some
the
kind of
music industry.
regulation.
Yeah,
Yeah, some kind of regulation or something.
but when you talk to the music people in the music industry, because my sons are in the music industry,
Yeah.
and they'll definitely say yes. The whole Napster thing had an effect. The whole on you know onslaught of digital music and Napster was just helped highlight the problem, right?
Mm.
It did have a huge impact, and even today, artists really aren't making the money off of their work that they did, you know, back when we only had albums and CDs to sell, right?
Mm.
Um, but and again, I know it's not all
Mm.
about money. I think I'm just talking about the dark side of it. You know, I like the fact
Yeah,
that you're taking the light, the
I've
brighter
got
side.
to. Yeah, I don't want to get stuck in despair and then not move forward. You know, when you look at the light side, you move in that direction. So I always
Right.
want to keep looking forward. Yeah.
I think I think though by going through the process, you can go through the process, the thought process of what I'm doing without being negative about it. Like you can identify the issues without being negative, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
if there are going to be problems, they just need to be identified and, you know, a solution came up with
100%. Yeah.
instead of just ignoring them, you know.
Yeah, or yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Selma, do you have anything else? We usually go for about an hour. And
Wow.
what do you think? Where are you headed with your you're going to have a new, let me bring this back up, your your YouTube channel here.
Oh yeah. So I haven't done much on it in the past. It's just kind of a place where I've put little videos every now and then. But this year, I'm starting to focus on YouTube and hopefully create uh, some more videos specifically for YouTube. Um, because I've started watching more YouTube videos, uh, and and yeah, like this, it was shot with not a very good camera. This was early days of me drawing, and so I've got a bit of equipment now, and I'm going to spend a bit more time with YouTube and hopefully be making some more interesting videos there because I'm enjoying watching YouTube at the moment. So I'd like to make content for it and also videos that are longer because on Instagram and all those social media channels, you kind of really have to be quick and fast with your videos. And yeah, on YouTube, you can tell more of a story. People can get more relaxed. The pace is better. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at YouTube this year.
I think what's amazing is how you draw these little tiny leaves. I couldn't draw them that small because the head of the pen is almost as big as the leaf.
Oh yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know how you do that. I don't
I
see
had to
that.
get like the 0.05 nibs, but you can't press. As soon as you press a little bit hard on them, they go into the pen. So you've got to be really light, and it takes um, you've got to be really light with them. That's why I use these dip pens now, because you can have a bit more pressure and it's really precise. And they don't, like with fine liners like these, it's plastic, and you use a few pens, and after a year, you've got like a bag of pens. And I don't like that idea. So I'm using the dip pen because, it's wood and metal, totally recyclable. You just dip it in ink and the accuracy is much better.
So
So
how
yeah.
much can you draw with one dip of the ink?
Oh, how do I quantify it? So maybe
Like that whole. I guess you're drawing that whole little scene, and you're drawing. Right.
I'm dipping multiple times. Like it would be every few minutes, like every maybe 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I'd have to
So
dip.
so it has a little reservoir that collect. It's not like a quill in the old days where it just had enough ink to write a few letters. Uh,
It is like that, but it's the catchment area is a little bit bigger. Um, and one of the videos you can see it. I'm struggling to remember which one,
let's
but
go.
yeah, every few minutes, every 3 to 5 minutes, you've got to dip the pen again. So it's a part of the ritual.
Which one do you think would be the best example of what you're talking about?
It's actually on Instagram because
Oh, okay.
these ones
So
were
if we go
before.
here and we went to Instagram,
Yeah. So if you look at a bit further down, there was one where I started off with.
wow, look at
Um,
that thing, that tree. That's what I find amazing.
oh, gosh, like it. You can scroll further down. Um, even further. Which one? Oh, wait. Stop. Go up a little bit.
Go up a little bit.
I think it is. Oh gosh, am I mistaken? The the one in the middle on the left. It
Right
might be
there.
that one. Yeah, let's try that
This
one.
this this tree is
Yeah.
amazing. I don't know how you. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's all in the ink stays in the nib of the pen. So I made a little contraption with the plastic and I to make a little dipping thing. Um,
How do you get it so this is not in the way? I guess that's just the way it is, isn't it?
yeah, you can't. Yeah,
That's where I would go insane with all those little leaves. I don't know how you do that.
that's my
Oh,
happy place.
look at the point on that thing.
Yeah, this one is a very sharp one. This got to be careful to not
Wow.
accidentally whack it because it will
You
stab
could
you.
you could pierce with that thing.
You
There's a
can actually. It's very sharp.
huh. I mean tattoo, I guess what I was thinking.
Oh,
Can you
you
tattoo with that
probably
thing?
could. I'm not gonna
Oh,
try it though.
no, no, yeah, that would be dangerous, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so fascinated with that, but I am. So, um, well, Selma, I really appreciate you coming on. Maybe you can come back sometime. I'd like to get some help with. I wouldn't mind coming back sometime and talking about maybe some book art or something, or maybe have you create some AI art and bring it back and show it
Ooh.
to us.
Oh,
That
I
would
love
be
to hear
fun.
that.
Because see,
Yeah.
then we could compare a carpenter's AI art to an artist's AI art,
Oh wow, that's gonna be fun.
and
I'm
say
definitely.
I'm gonna say mine's gonna be gonna be rougher than yours. But
I've never done it before, so I'm just really excited to fiddle with that. Yeah, and thank you for having me on here. It's been really great, and I'm happy to come again.
I'll put all of
Yeah.
your information in the video description once I get to where I can edit it later on today, and
All right.
uh, I'll make sure that people know how to find you. And I think I think you're reasonably priced. I mean, it's not. cheap, but I think I appreciate you helping me out with my cover art. Um,
Oh yeah, pleasure.
um, but if anybody's interested, uh, contact Selma because it's reasonable. It's how do you say something's it's not expensive, but it's not cheap. It's right there in that sweet spot where it's
Mm,
it's a great product. It's a great value, I guess I should say.
value for money. I
Yeah,
don't know.
but
Reasonable. Reasonable is a
and
good word. I know.
maybe you gave me a discount. I don't know, um, but I appreciate it. And so with that, I want to thank everybody for watching, and thank you, Selma. And we will talk to you again sometime.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That'd be great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.